And we're live. Hi, everybody. Joining. My name is Pasha. I'm here with Hi Mag of Eva. You're on the Agency Operators podcast. I really appreciate you coming on. Hi, how are you doing?
Hey man, thanks Pasha for having me. I'm really excited to be on your nice podcast.
Thank you. So the way I'd like to do it is really to just start by opening a little bit about your story, how you ended up being the CEO of Eva. Eva, we'll talk a little bit about what you guys do over there. It's pretty amazing how you have all these different touch points that you've put together so seamlessly, and it's really impressive. I've never seen anything like it in the market. But before that, obviously, I mean, you had a pretty fruitful career from what it looks like, working with a lot of different companies like Oracle and IBM, and doing some investing and advising. And yeah, I mean, it's like 20 years at least, right? You've been in the industry. So talk a little bit about your story and how did you end up where you ended up?
Yeah, it's almost 24 years now. And the first 20 years from my side, it was more about a corporate career. So I'm a computer engineer myself. And after that, I worked with large corporations as a management consultant in sales capacities, in engineering capacities, name it Accenture, IBM, and Oracle. And it was a great 20 years because especially when I was in Oracle, I was the vice president of before I left, I was the vice president of Middle East and Africa, and it was an amazing experience. Before I managed like East Europe, West Europe, China, I mean Russia. So that was like a lot of interesting experiences that I gathered. I sometimes go back and say, hey, I mean, I should pay to these companies for all these fantastic, kind of experiences. But that's all great. And then, so Oracle was headquartered in Redwood City, and I was also like very much into the California culture and everything. And at some point, I thought like, why not just start a new company? And with that 20 years of knowledge, when I look into e-commerce, my current co-founder and partner, whose name is Barry, he was already like running an Amazon business, which I invested, and we were always talking about Amazon e-commerce. One of the things that we caught like 4 years ago, actually, there were like two main problems or opportunities we discovered, and that was like 4.5 years ago, just before COVID. One of them was the data is not accurate. Like the people they look at into e-commerce, it's not accurate, and there is a lot of interdependencies between different parts of the data. So which means that like if you don't have a grasp of inventory and you're just dealing with advertising, maybe things will not be done in the optimal way. So that was the first kind of opportunity that we saw. And the second was we thought that Amazon advertising will become huge, and eventually AI will take it over. By the way, I mean, I wrote my first AI codes in 98, was a therapist. The technology, even today, maybe not the tech, but the algorithms were mostly available. But what is available today is absolutely fascinating, and we're going to be seeing a huge transformation in the next 10 years. But we already thought like the next couple of years will be how AI can be used with e-commerce, and there was nothing like that pretty much. So we kind of combined these two things and started Eva. And thanks God, like it was a good ride. 4 years, a couple of hundred employees, more than 350 employees, all around the world. Now we have the platform, we have services, we also have the logistics warehouse chain that we own. So it was an amazing ride. So and I'm so happy that I entered into this space.
Very cool. So you've seen most of the world at this point, right? That itch has been scratched a long time ago, right? You've been to so many different continents and countries.
Exactly. So it's always great. For example, when I talk to someone, he says, "Well, I'm from Ukraine," and I'm like, "Hey, this city, that city." Oh, but then I mean, so I like that part of that. As I said, the experience with people, cultures, and you kind of discover yourself, right? It's not only about you learn. What you discover in yourself is like what you think it is right or wrong is not right or wrong, and everything is pretty much subjective, like depending on the culture, learnings, how the people look into the things. There is no right or wrong. Maybe, I don't want to be like philosophical right now, but you basically see that like the only thing which is real is the birth and the death, and anything in between is just an opinion.
Objective. Yeah, that's right.
That is my biggest learning from many years of like traveling pretty much 95% of the world, that you can do business.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, for my travels, they're definitely more limited, but I've definitely seen that. Like you get that realization that people are just people. Everywhere you go, everybody needs to eat, sleep. They care about family and friends and connection, and everybody wants good. At the end of the day, there's just a lot of different ways that people do things, and we focus too much on that, I think. But I agree with you. We're not going to get too much into the philosophy here, although that's what I studied in school. So I'm big on the philosophy thing. Um, okay, so you touched on some of the things that Eva is doing, and this is why I think it's quite brilliant. I haven't really seen anything like that, where you see that there's a huge disconnect when it comes to really the bottom line profit. And sometimes I see big accounts and they look on the outside like, wow, they have all these reviews, they're doing so much volume. But then you look under the hood and you actually see that they're even losing money in some cases. And there's different reasons for that. Sometimes people do that on purpose because that's part of their strategy in general. They want to drive awareness and sales and revenue and just exposure in general and hope that the profit comes back on their website or something like that. But most sellers on Amazon are not really treating it that way. They want to use it as a platform to actually make money. So I know that you guys are kind of making it easy for somebody to use your warehousing solution, potentially use some of your services like the reimbursements, advertising, and content, right? And then all of the other tools that you guys have in your wheelhouse. So could you talk a little bit about that and kind of how you were able to put that together? I mean, it's a pretty big team. It's a pretty big solution, right? With all these moving parts. So how has that been to really manage that? And what have you really actually like, in the end, after all these years, like what do you see when you look at the whole operation?
That's a great question. So, as I was mentioning, like, there is interdependencies of different forces. And one of the things that we see is like when you are just focused on one and ignore the rest, it doesn't work. And there are these four pillars where I believe everything kind of fell into: the traffic, conversion, availability, and profits. And if you ignore or even one of them, the rest doesn't work, or works but not in the optimal way. So that was our starting point. And as we progressed with our platform, we saw that whatever we do, if you ignore the aspect of conversion or inventory and you just focus on traffic, it doesn't work. Even if you focus on three and your profit is not there, it doesn't work. The other thing that we also discovered, and these are kind of like principles of maybe e-commerce, like if one of them is the four pillars, the second one is the business is done at the product level. Now, I'm not talking about like different varieties, all that stuff, but there is this one product, maybe a parent, and there is like many products, let's say, around that which are associated with the main product. But then you need to know what happens with that main product in terms of four pillars. So everything of that four pillars need to have a reflection at the product level. And maybe you have 6 7 products. So what I'm trying to say here is it's not about your Amazon store, but it's about every single product that you have, which is the domain, the virtual representation of the similar products coming together. You can name it also the portfolio. But that portfolio, you need to know what's going on in terms of traffic, profit, and everything. So the foundation of all, before you start integrating the pillars, the foundation is how can you have all this data in an accurate way in one system. Now there are maybe a 50 different type of Amazon softwares available which integrates with APIs and getting all this data together. We realize that 99.9% of the time, even we are skeptical about our own data from time to time, 99.9% the data is not accurate. Now, how I come to that conclusion is very simple. In the Oracle world, or before, in the enterprise software world, think about this like Oracle is used by banks, telco companies, all types of defense, aerospace. So 2 plus 2 equals 4 when you write the code in the enterprise software world. And if it is not equal to 4, then you have a big problem, right? If you're there's a wire transaction, everything needs to be 100% accurate. You cannot say that, oh, this time only you send $100, but I just transferred 99. Sorry, you cannot say that. Now, in the Amazon world, it doesn't work like that. Majority of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't work. Same thing with API, same thing with how you get the advertising data. Nothing is like 100% consistent. So what we do is like not only we bring all the data, but we verify in multiple ways, also work directly with Amazon. We're a marketplace developer. So we make sure that like the data is accurate, because that's the foundation. 2% inaccuracy in one of the campaigns ACOS will result in so many different different reactions, right, that any agency can do anything. So we built that foundation. Once we have the foundation, the next step was the interdependencies and how to use AI together with the foundation, which is the accurate data. And there we found the solutions like creating campaigns, optimizing bids, also dynamically price items, doing the best replenishment forecasting based on the sales velocity, based on the demand rather than based on the supply. So all these things then came together like small AI agents, or call them robots, doing the job for you. Now, that was the starting point. As the time passed, we come to a point that some of the things that we do in our system are humanly impossible now. For example, hourly bid optimization. We see that our system can improve the ACOS between 8 to 10% when we switch to hourly bid optimizations. And it really impacts a lot during the peak times, like a Prime Day and any day that is like that, the things are you have more people coming in, different time zones, everything. So the problem is, let's assume there is a product with 100 campaigns which you're updating every hour, which means that 2,400 bid optimizations needs to be done. It's kind of humanly impossible, like some VA to handle this. It's kind of impossible. So that is kind of the second block where we created these AI robots. And there is a third block, though. Although I say that these tasks are humanly impossible, you still need human. You don't need anymore. We believe that you don't need anymore this VAs and other type of like people who can do a lot of mundane tasks, but you still need the guy who can build the strategy. And the AI doesn't really build the strategy for you. And there are two main reasons for that. One, because it's a business, and the business owner, like you mentioned, maybe he wants growth on this product, and then he wants money from that product. The monetization versus growth, right? But it's at the product level. So there is business decisions involved. Secondly, there is a context, which means that you have the best product and somebody else is now selling it for 50% cheaper. And it's exactly the same product. I mean, your chances will be limited. But what if this guy is out of stock? Then you'll be like skyrocketing. So it can work on both negative and positive ways, but there are context parameters that the your technology doesn't have access to. And these context parameters together, like combining them together, that's human, right? That's where you need human. So that's where we, just to summarize, there is this foundation of accurate data, which is EVA. Then there is the AI robots, which can do many things that create differentiators, and you don't need the VAs. And then on top, you need the in-house people or the agency, which can really strategize, what needs to be done. So that's
Mhm.
kind of like how we built it over the last 4 years.
Amazing. And the warehousing, I guess that would be layer four, right? The
I'm sorry.
physical part.
I always
Yeah.
forget about it because the way, I mean, being a computer engineer, very much focused on software side of the things, that was not the intention. But 4 years ago, we already had $100 million Amazon business, and there was already warehousing and all that stuff, which we then created the EVA 3PL. And out of curiosity, we look into all these WMS systems, the warehouse management systems, and we thought none of them are really built, and it's still the same. None of them are really built for e-commerce. It's built to make the warehouse more efficient. The
Mhm.
problem with e-commerce is, for example, when a box comes and there is an ASIN or an FN SKU, which has nothing like, which has no meaning in the warehouse context. But now, when I scan the FN SKU, I would like to have a system. That's what we thought. Like, we need to have a system which can scan the FN SKU and immediately know which store, which ASIN, what's going on, what's the sales demand. Think about the warehouse guy is the kind of the warehouse itself is the dump, storage, and forwarding mechanism. In fact, if the warehouse knows about the velocity, advertising, and all that stuff, then all the replenishment can be done even automatically. You don't need to tell warehouse that I'm going to send you 100 boxes. The warehouse can already demand that I need 100 boxes of this product, for example. So with that, we said, okay, we need to build the EVA WMS, which we developed. And as we develop it, we ended up like having warehouses in California, in New York, in Houston, as well as Canada. Canada is operated by one of our partners, which is using EVA WMS, and the others we own.
Amazing. So basically, somebody sends over their inventory to your warehouse, and whenever your system picks up that replenishment is needed, it'll automatically send that inventory over to FBA warehouses.
Not only that, but also now EVA WMS and EVA platform are real-time connected. That's kind of the same database, meaning that any Amazon seller, if they are using our 3PL solutions, they know at the real time what is available on 3PL, what is in transit to Amazon, inbound to Amazon, between Amazon warehouses, and what is available. And that's a real-time information. Typically, all the Amazon sellers try to get some Excel sheets from from their warehouse guys, and what they get is a UPC code. They map it to this and that. They always deal with that. Now,
Mm-hmm.
by EVA system, they have the full visibility, and EVA system has the visibility too, right? So it's not only them, but the EVA system. Now the EVA system knows that this product's sales velocity is 10 units per day. Now the system already knows that, meaning that by clicking a simulation button, incorporating the 3PL inventory, the system knows that, hey, I need in the next 2 months 150 units. So that is already kind of alerted to the business. Now the business can have a decision, right, whether to replenish or not, but it's a different mental, a mindset. It's kind of a mind shift from, from like trying to manage things centrally. The warehouse already knows what is the demand, what is needed, and that's kind of a big deal at
Uh,
this
wh-
moment. Like,
What about the cost efficiency side? I mean, I guess somebody can say, what if I have additional stock at my 3PL? I'll just send it into Amazon, and if my velocity picks up, then I'll sell through it faster. If not, it'll end up in long-term storage fees. So shipping with you guys, I mean, if the pricing solution is better, then basically you guys are covering that long-term storage, making sure to account for the velocity if you need to send in. But if you don't need to send in, if there's actually a slowdown for whatever reason, then you would hold that inventory and not incur those long-term storage fees, right? So it's
abs-
also it's a cost efficiency thing. Are you guys implementing with the low storage fee now, the new fees that they're implementing? How are you guys
uh,
handling that?
maybe there are like two questions. The first one, because it's super important. Now think about a system which already knows the velocity, but it's also able to impact the velocity. For example, there are two ways you can still work on that velocity. Maybe you need to reduce the price because it's a decision where maybe you reduce the price a bit. If it helps you to increase the velocity, then it should happen. Now, EVA AI robot, let's say for pricing, is automatically doing that. But sometimes, reducing the price will not increase the velocity. Maybe there is no price elasticity works in the best way, but you can still do advertising, and it may help too. That is the other AI robot which is dealing with advertising and knows the pricing impact, and they work together. Now, this is really becoming like humanly almost impossible. Maybe, I mean, all the Amazon sellers or agencies now think, oh, like this is what we do. It's humanly impossible, like at the real time, to understand all these relationships. Now, if it doesn't make sense, then maybe you can also pull all the inventory from Amazon because it's not selling and you don't want to get the long-term storage fee. So everything is kind of integrated and managed, and you have the system knows, the system is aware of the 3PL inventory too, so that it can decide based on that. Now, the second part is the low inventory fee. So we are aware of this. Now, again, back to the Amazon's inconsistencies. Amazon is like introducing a new thing, and you know what happened? They introduced first, and now they say, "Oh, yeah, okay, no worries. We're not gonna charge you for until this time, and maybe they will extend it, maybe not." So it's kind of a test, like
Mm.
testing the waters, see if they can get more money, basically, right? And it's in a kind of an objective data-based view that every year Amazon's percentage of kind of the overall revenue is increasing. Like Amazon is getting more money every year. Well, there has to be a limit of that, but looks like they are trying to get more. So the APIs are not there. The bottom line is like the idea is there, the charge is there, but APIs are not there. So we're now working with Amazon to finalize it and see if that will become a permanent business decision at the end of this period of like trying testing, because they may come up with a better model too. And I'm sure that you see all LinkedIn, people are all complaining. But I mean, they also look at the data. They don't look at the complaint. Nobody looks at the complaints, right? So they look at the data. Amazon advertising is growing. Every day, 2,000 new brands are introduced in Amazon. So as long as I think they have the same type of trends, they will always try to get more money. So we will incorporate that probably in the next 1 month into our calculations. Now we do some estimations, but it's not the precise calculation because we always want 100% accuracy when it comes to the fees. There are like 50 plus fees that we incorporate. We try to incorporate all at the product level. That's also sometimes a problem, right? Like storage fee, which product? Like we also built an algorithm which kind of distributes the cost so that we have a better understanding at the product level. Even if you have two people working on something, I mean, we need to add this cost too, and then try to split it at the product level too. So the more you are granular, have the better idea, you'll have a better understanding.
There's a lot of conversations that I'm having with different people about the whole split inventory issue. Sometimes people are trying to game the system by saying that they're shipping from a different address just so Amazon generates another location or destination that you should send inventory to. So I imagine that might be one of the reasons why you guys have multiple fulfillment centers on your side too, right? Maybe there's some internal FC transfers that can be done in order to optimize whatever costs are there when shipping to FBA. Is that right?
It is. Having said that, we, for example, we never implemented that splitting between different Amazon warehouses type of a solution, because we knew that Amazon will be upset about it. And they were like, like a month ago, they said like, don't use this third-party apps and things like that. And we are an Amazon Advanced partner. We developed the systems together. So we already have the hints that this is not something they want the seller to do. Having said that, like having multiple warehouses are very efficient for us. Just to give you an idea, for example, Houston location is a perfect location. A lot of people, they send it to New York, New Jersey ports. It takes a lot of time from the port even to get the stuff, and then to a warehouse, and then from that warehouse to an Amazon location. And we pretty much know in every single Amazon warehouse, even how long it takes to receive the products and what is the error rates. Now, you mentioned about reimbursements. One of the things that we do is like we look at which warehouse is receiving better or worse. And for example, the Houston location, in terms of from port to warehouse, it is the fastest. Customs, everything is efficient. This is the best port probably pretty much in the US from our point of view. Our warehouse is next to it. From the warehouse to an Amazon Amazon warehouse, it's so easy. One of the biggest problems in the New York area or in LA from time to time, you call the Amazon guy to pick up the stuff, and they say, oh, we come in 5 days, 3 days, 2 weeks. They don't come on time. There's a lot of stuff, or they just have a third party, they don't come in. So this logistics is like on its own is a problem. But in Houston, we never have any problems. Like we call the guy, we immediately comes, the Amazon truck, we put the pallets in, let them go. So these are all efficiencies that we created over the time.
That's very, very convenient. I've been actually hearing, I don't know if this data is true or not, but looks like imports from Mexico are starting to outpace from China, right? And so having that position there, I don't know if you guys work with a lot of sellers importing from Mexico, but having that warehouse in Houston and being it so efficient, that must really help that entire system. So yeah, do you guys work with a lot of stuff from Mexico?
I see the like we also have more customers coming from Mexico. You are right, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I'm in San Diego, so I'm like 20 minutes away from the border. And our warehouse is also like pretty close, even on the California side, as well as on Houston. So that is a big advantage too. There are also advantages of shipping directly from Mexico, like, this Shane, Temu, they use this $800 threshold, and then they send stuff. And the same idea even is applicable from Mexico. Like that's another thing that some of the Amazon sellers are leveraging, I know. But also there are some great amazing like companies, and maybe it's a language barrier, maybe they don't know. There is still a potential. It's not unleashed. There's an unleashed potential there with Mexico. I can tell you that. There are some fairs that we go, like a month ago we were in this fair where there's a trade fair with the Mexican manufacturers and everything, and I was so impressed that only 1% of the potential is unleashed. And it's so interesting that it's the next border to US, but there is more kind of connections in terms of commerce with China compared to Mexico. So there's a huge potential there that I definitely recommend the sellers to look into Mexico, and things will be a lot easier with transportation as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm going to pivot a little bit. My next question, this is something that I've been also chatting a little bit around. Different sellers and different agency owners are a little bit concerned about Amazon rolling out their own algorithms and automation for PPC. And some agencies are even worried that in a couple of years, their PPC services are going to be basically taken over by whatever Amazon is building natively. How do you guys respond to that, and kind of what's your ethos? I mean, you guys are protected because you have a whole list of other things that you're doing as well. So PPC is not your main focus, but what do you think about any of that?
Absolutely. So we work with almost 75 agencies today, and this is very important part of our business. We love the agencies because they come to us, they give us feedback. Some of them are like focused on a specific industry, like beauty. We don't, so they tell us, okay, this is important for us, etc. So we can develop our platforms in a better way. We also have some services, like some of the agencies leverage our services. One of them is PPC. Now, the way that I look into this, when I talk to the agency owners, I tell them, what is the most important for you? And they sometimes say PPC. I say, maybe it's the least important for you. From my point of view, it's a commodity. It will become commodity on one side. I'm going to tell a paradoxical thing here. On one side, it will become commodity because there will be more AI, there will be more automation, and it will happen. That is one side of the story. Now, when there is more automation, more AI, the question is like, what is the differentiator here from an agency point of view? Is it really a differentiator that I do better PPC than you? Because we already see that, for example, we have a different offering here. We have 75% automated, 25% PPC manager led offering. The reason we put the human is exactly the reason why I mentioned the context around the data. And there is another very important reason. Whatever Amazon will automate, it will automate for the sake of traffic, but not for the sake of profit. So a profit-driven advertising approach is not the best approach for Amazon. There is a huge difference, and billions of dollars are at stake if a company is if Amazon is doing profit-driven advertising versus a growth-driven advertising. Google, all of them are saying they will always do growth-driven. How much more you can spend on advertising? This is the way. Spend it here, spend it on Twitch, spend it on MGM, whatever it is. So it's always about spending more. Now, what we think is the real value is like, how can we make profits? And the foundation is the data. At the product level, if you know that this is advertising, this is the FBA fees, this is the COGS, and this is my profit, then you have an understanding. Now, the way that we do advertising with our automation is profit driven. So we know exactly when to stop spending, because we don't see that the value that you get by increasing the impression share is not justified by the cost that it comes. So that is what we look at in our automated kind of algorithms. Now, on top of that, I'm telling the agency owners, why do you focus on that even? Like, I mean, for example, we provide this service to the agencies, and instead of like PPC, hire VAs in Philippines, Pakistan, this and that, outsource it with the SLAs, the right SLAs. Ask the SLAs, go for it. Because the real differentiator today for agencies, from my point of view, is two things. One, how can you make this operation profitable? Second is omnichannel. So, because omnichannel is not automated yet. TikTok, there is not much going on. There are some APIs, etc., but the value stays with the influencer marketing, not automated at all. So as the advertising costs are increasing, the differentiated value of the agency will be how to make it more profitable, how to expand to omnichannel, and also like how to use other ways to substitute or balance advertising, because it will always be more expensive as the time passes. We saw it in Google for the last 20 years. Nothing is going down. Always the CPCs are going up.
And you guys are doing some omni-channel too, right?
Yes, like so we also help the brands and agencies with some of the omni channels. So we do Wayfair, Fair, eBay, Walmart. I mean, Walmart is the second advanced in terms of technology. So there is a lot also we can integrate with the EVA platform and get the advertising data and profit data and all that stuff. And the rest, like Wayfair, great platform. Fair is amazing, by the way. I recommend any relevant agency or brand owner always to leverage Fair. But there is no automation, right? I mean, you need to work with that. That is already justifying the agency's existence. If all this omnichannel, because the omnichannel cannot be operated by the brand, it's so much work. So combining that with the Amazon intelligence to increase the profit, I don't see that the future is about I am the best PPC agency. I don't believe PPC agencies moving forward.
Hmm. And I think that is the bottom line. I mean, it's just pushing people to diversify. I think this is part of a bigger argument with AI, people saying that it's going to take jobs away. I think ultimately, any of these technological advancements, which we've seen throughout history for hundreds or even thousands of years, has just moved people further, but is just forcing us to change, forcing us to evolve. And so people might, in 20 years, being a prompt engineer is going to be an extremely relevant job that many people are studying in college, maybe even for. Whereas right now is just kind of, it's evolving and emerging and becoming this thing where a lot of it is going to be driven by AI and how to utilize a lot of these tools and leverage all of that. Um, Interesting about the multi-channel. So what are you seeing right now out of all the ones that you've listed? Which one is kind of the runner-up to Amazon? I suspect it's going to be Walmart. If that is the answer, how close are they really from the data that you have?
Absolutely. So it depends on the industry. It depends on the consumer behavior. Nobody is right now, especially in the U.S. market, is a big threat to Amazon. I would think that the change with Amazon will come with a paradigm shift rather than Walmart trying to do the same thing or copy Amazon and leverage retail or whatever. I don't think like Walmart will replace Amazon or be a super important competitor. But having Walmart is great, like CPG products, supplements, some beauty products. We see some good results now with Walmart that we haven't seen that before. Last year, it's 5K, nothing. But now we have customers. We see the data of agencies. There are like these brands that are selling between 100K to a million a month on Walmart. Supplements, and before it was 5K, 10K, etc. I always say when the customers like expect 8 to 12% of your Amazon business that you can do on Walmart, but I see some radical data points where Walmart is 50% of Amazon business, depending on the category. Now, again, like home and kitchen category, Wayfair is not only a good platform, but also it's different type of customers and different type of consumers, and there is more money to make. I mean, that's also another thing. I mentioned Fair. It's like a B2B sales, but anybody can buy from anyone, I don't know, 10 packs. It's not like, it's kind of a Costco model, let's say. And everybody's so happy to be on Fair. So that's why we focus on Fair too. But what type of automation? Pretty much nothing. So, I mean, I think every single platform has a value here. For example, eBay. Now nobody's like really too much interested, but when you need to liquidate something and you're not, I mean, for some reason you're not in Amazon anymore and you need to liquidate, well, you can use that as a low velocity, but kind of a nice channel that you can sell. Or one of the biggest things that we do, and I want to mention that too, is returns management. There is a huge potential with returns. Our Houston warehouse has its own returns management software, and the kind of like pretty much the warehouse is designed to process the returns. And it's so amazing that we see in many cases 50% of the returns are new, Like you can just send it back to Amazon. If you let Amazon do returns, 95% of the stuff will be disposed. Especially like if you have variations, we have seen so many amazing things. Like people buy X large and large, they like the large, they send the X large back. Amazon disposes the item. The item is not even opened. So there are
Wow.
things like that. And we're talking about many situations, many things like that. So you can send 50% back to Amazon, make a lot of money. Now, what you're going to do with the other 50%? You're going to sell used or like new? Do you want to ruin your listing with like news and etc.? Probably not. Now, you can use that other channels like eBay to also liquidate, which might also be an option. That's what we do with the returns management in Houston as well, for agencies, for big aggregators, for big brands, even small brands. Like there is no reason to let Amazon to dispose your new items.
Right. And so with these other platforms, you guys are handling the syndication and the advertising. So if somebody wants to, hey, I want to migrate my listings from Amazon over to my Walmart Wayfair, could you guys help me? I have these accounts, here's the logins or something like that.
We do pretty much all omnichannel we cover. So everything in the US. We are now expanding to Asia. And so also EVA is available in 20 marketplaces. We have French speaking, German speaking, Spanish speaking, Chinese speaking people. So it also helps with Singapore's, Australia, and all that stuff. So there's like two ways. One is the omnichannel US, one opportunity. Second opportunity is like globally expand 19 other Amazon marketplaces besides, I think it's more than 20 now, maybe 21, besides US, like to expand to other marketplaces. We also help both agencies and brands. So in a way that we work with large brands, some of the large brands directly, then we work with the agencies and try to be an extended arm of the agency. So they have the platform, they have the data, and on top of it, like any service that they don't want to expand now, we also handle that for them. So that's also the way that, kind of our business model is. And we also tell the agency, like, this is a commodity. Why do you focus on PPC? Go and, do omnichannel, build the strategy, because these are the things that will not exist in the next couple of years. That's
expansion. Let's say I'm a seller in the US and I want to go into Europe. I know that it's a totally different thing, right? Like you have VAT, you have compliance, then you have a warehouse in Germany that can ship to the other EU, but then the UK is its own separate thing. Do you guys help with all of that as well? Or you have a partner like Avask or something?
Yeah, we have partners which can help with the web compliance and similar things, but these are not very big deals. We try to make it as cost effective as possible. Some of the what we discover is like, the US companies, they don't know how much it costs, but it can really be very, very, very cost effective, like to get all this VAT solutions, registrations done. And I think that there is some overcharge. We are kind of, as a company, when we see the overcharge, I got personally excited, like to fix that issue. One of the things is this reimbursements thing. For example, when we started 3.5 years ago, it's almost like 25% is the recovery rate for reimbursements. And there are all these companies charging 25%. And because we are an Amazon seller for a decade and we know what it needs to be done, we were like, how come you can charge 25? And we reduced that fees now almost like to 10%, and I see that the competitors are already around 15. So I'm very happy that at least like over the last 3 years, EVA pushing that new rates. Of course, it was, some of the people were upset with that. But the idea here is, what's the point? Again, I personally say reimbursements is an anomaly that shouldn't exist. And if we can help the agencies, brands, like with that in a much better rate and everything, we will do it, because it's a commodity. When you see a commodity, we try to make it as lowest price as possible. Same thing from my point of view will apply to PPC. I mean, at this moment, there is no reason, for example, to know which type of a campaign needs to be created in which keyword and etc. I see all the gurus talking about like hierarchy of the campaigns and all that stuff. Now I can tell you that our AI is doing it. I mean, it's so easy. And not only our AI, even Amazon AI is doing it too now. So that knowledge will not exist. Like you have a MacBook today, and 15 years ago we were like creating this desktops, right? Like, oh, I need to buy this hard disk, and whatever the floppy disk, and this and that, and build it together, and you pay somebody to do it, or if you are interested you do it on your own. This is what is happening with the Amazon sellers today and the PPC. Tomorrow is all about the business decision. I want 5% profit, I want 10% growth. That's what I want. AI, please help. And at the same time, like, you have the people looking at the context and building strategies, but there is no more automation, right? So reimbursements, whatever is commodity, we believe we address that with AI and better costs. That's kind of one of the strategies we have.
Amazing. Wow. I mean, aside from having all of this awareness and knowledge in the space and understanding all of these different points and how they work together, you've also even built out an entire technology team and framework for all of these different areas. So, I mean, it's truly amazing. Hi, thank you so much for the time and for the chat. I think we're at time now, but if anybody wants to reach out, what's the best place? Just go to eva.guru or reach out to you, right?
Yeah, our website is eva.guru. I mean, any agency, any brand can easily connect to your store in a couple of minutes, and or ask for a free consultation on anything, any e-commerce platform. And if somebody wants to reach out to me, I mean, I have a very easy name to remember, Hi Mag, and my email is hi.mag@eva.guru.
Amazing. Thanks, Hi. Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you on the next one.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, Pasha.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, well, I hope it was good.